The government's announced $30 million loans to support small passenger airlines. So, will we start to see more affordable domestic flights? Regional Development Minister Shane Jones says it's a move critical for the economic and social well-being of New Zealand, and he joins us now. Atamaria, good morning.
Kia ora, morning folks.
So $30 million in loans effectively to our regional airlines. This is the Air Chathams and others that are supplying feeder services into our cities where perhaps Air New Zealand has pulled up stakes. What is that going to achieve?
Well, the most important thing is that these wee airlines have confirmed that they're essential to regional connectivity. We've already given 30 or 40 odd million, something like that, for effecting similar outcomes in coastal shipping. We write the Gregory out for roads and rail every day. So Cabinet endorsed Mr. Meager and myself to do a similar thing in a limited way for these wee regional airlines at a time where I'm trying to boost greater economic buoyancy in the regions. What's the point if people are struggling to get in and out of the place?
This isn't just making sure that you can catch a plane down to Wellington every week?
Sadly, it will not apply to Whangarei or Kerikeri going to Wellington. This is more the Chathams, Wanaka, maybe even Taupo, obviously the West Coast. The West Coast is about to enjoy a boost in relation to mining investment, but they've all said to me, getting people in and out of the coast is getting progressively more difficult. And look, there's enough flexibility for each regional leadership team in terms of the aviation company to strike a deal with our officials on behalf of the Crown.
Look, there's another thing I wanted to ask you about, which is the fast-track legislation, which we were chatting to the Prime Minister about just before. He's not hiding, by the way, as you said at the weekend. He was just in the studio here. He's talking about the need to make some tweaks to...
Now, come on, you know that's a misquote in the media. The matua, if I've got anything to say to my fellow politicians, they always open the door so we can have an honest conversation.
Right.
And at no time would the matua wander around picking a fight with the Prime Minister, or indeed my own leader.
So back to the fast track though. I mean, this is legislation that was pushed through to try and make it easier for large companies to get consent for projects that are deemed sort of nationally significant. I mean, there's a pretty broad range there. We've only had one win so far, the Auckland port, and the Tauranga port seems to be in a bit of a mess. How quickly can that be fixed so that their fast track process, which was supposed to start today, will take place?
Look, I was always the politician who pushed for ministers to be in control of this regime. I find a situation where three legally trained people, they're known as conveners, they seem to now have more power and authority than I do and my leader, Winston Peters. And we're the ones who brought this to Parliament. Not these three conveners and not the EPA staff. And of course, there's obviously a level of distrust now between a lot of the applicants and EPA, and I'm hoping that the board of EPA will take matters in hand, what they do to improve executive responsiveness, starting with the CEO, that's up to them. But by the end of the year, Mr. Bishop has assured us that there'll be further amendments, and we'll root out the various problems in our new regime to ensure that fast means accelerated. I think it's a bit of a learning curve for some of the bureaucrats looking after the scheme. I think that the decision that came out blighting the opportunity for ports of Tauranga to move quicker was a very narrow interpretation of the law. But I've got to tell you, mate, it's almost as if everywhere I turn to try and accelerate growth through the RMA or the fast track, there are vested interests who are operating in a way inconsistent with what I was elected to achieve on behalf of the party that I represent, New Zealand First, and I abhor it. In fact, I got a letter from the chairman of the board of EPA, and he's not happy with me because he feels that I've been unfair in my criticisms of them, so he's coming in to see me. Not that he needs to bring a crash helmet, but I'm expecting big things from the chair of the EPA board. We were asked to support him by the National Party, and in 9 months I see no evidence of what he's done that helps us to achieve our mission. So I'm looking forward to that meeting.
You gave a speech at the weekend up in Warkworth there. I would almost describe it as a sort of a campaign rally a bit early there. Nuclear power, are you trolling us? Do you think we should be building nuclear power stations here in New Zealand?
No, I just gave an honest answer, mate. There are members in our party who want to bring forward a remit. We're going to debate it. Look, I'm of that generation. That was a young father, not long out of university, when Longy made that famous call about nuclear energy. But that's what political parties exist for. If members want to bring forward things, and Right Honourable Winston, he's always said, no, no, we'll have these debates in public, so the media will be there. I've got no idea as to how the remit will actually land, but I think it's an issue that deserves some ventilation and airing, but I have no way of knowing where the ball will bounce in the context of our party remit debates.
I go back, it sounds a wee bit like we're being trolled here. Thank you very much, though, for your time this morning, Shane Jones. Enjoy your flight south to the capital whenever you make it.